Hello, Miss Tyne here with your math lesson for today. Today we are going to do some more exploring with fractions by making a set of fraction strips. Before we make our strips, let's think about some things we know about fractions. Yesterday, when you were writing your observations about breaking up the ant granola bars, you were actually making some pretty cool observations about fractions. You noticed that when you break one whole into equal parts, each part must get smaller, just like we saw with the granola bars yesterday. Every time we split the granola bar up into more ants, the pieces got smaller. A second thing that you noticed about fractions is that the number on the top of the fraction always stayed the same. This number is called the numerator. The numerator is how many parts we are talking about. When we talk about this part, we are talking about one of the two total parts. A third thing that you noticed is that the number on the bottom of the fraction changed when we cut the granola bar into more parts. This number is called the denominator. The denominator tells you how many parts your whole has been separated into. This denominator up here shows that the granola bar is in two parts. This denominator shows that the granola bar is in three parts. And this denominator shows that the granola bar is in four parts. When we make fraction strips today, we will be breaking this whole strip into different fractions. And now I want you to imagine that we're folding this strip in half and cutting it apart. What fraction will we have when we cut this strip into two parts? Now, if you said that we would have half, good thinking. When we cut one whole into two equal parts, we have half. And we write 1/2 with a 1 on the top, a horizontal line, and a 2 on the bottom to show that we have half of two total parts. Now I want you to imagine what would happen if we took our whole strip and folded it in half again. We know that one fold will give us 1/2. What will happen to our whole if we fold it twice and cut on the folds? Now, if you were thinking that we would have 4 parts, good thinking. We would have 4 parts or fourths. Now remember, when you write 1/4, you write a 1 on the top to show that it is one part of the whole, a horizontal line, and then write a 4 on the bottom to show that we have 4 parts total. Now that we have folded our whole strip twice, I want you to imagine that you are folding your whole strip for a third time. What will happen to our whole strip when we fold it for a third time? Before I can make my prediction about what will happen next with my third fold, I want to share with you some things that I've noticed so far. Now, when I folded the whole once, I created 2 parts of my whole with my first fold. When I folded the whole twice, I created 4 parts of my whole These two red circles are showing my second fold. They're just one fold if we folded it in half again. I also noticed that that 1 doubled equals 2, and that 2 doubled equals 4. So I'm seeing some doubles here. Now that I've shared some of my observations with you, make a prediction about what you think will happen when we fold our whole strip for a third time. Okay, let's see what will happen when we fold and cut our whole strip for a third time, and check to see if your prediction was correct. Now, if you were thinking that we would have 8 parts, good thinking. We would have 8 equal parts, or eighths. Remember, when we write 1/8, we write a 1 on the top to show that it is one part of the whole, a horizontal line, and then write an 8 on the bottom to show that we have 8 total parts. We can also see that our observations from before continue. We see that the number 8 on the bottom of the fraction, and we know that 4 doubled equals 8. Now that we have explored fractions a little more and made our fraction strips, let's look at our seesaw activity for today. Now today in Seesaw, your activity is asking you to use the brown 1/2 strips, the purple 1/4 strips, and the green 1/8 strips to create one whole in 2 different ways. Now let's go to Seesaw and see how we can do that. So here's your template today for Seesaw. So when you're creating your 2 different ways to make a whole, you can use the Move tool, and you have different parts here you can use. Now you only have 2 half parts, 4 fourth parts, and 8 eighth parts. So you'll be moving these around to see what different combinations you can use to make whole strips. Now, if you make a whole strip with all the same color, you're not going to have a lot of options for your second strip. So make sure you're using different strips each time. Now, you don't have to use all the half pieces, and you don't have to use all the fourth pieces, but you only have a limited number of pieces. One thing that will help you as you move your pieces around is to grab your pieces on the numbers. Grab them in the middle, and that will help you from accidentally changing their size. If you change their size, it'll be really tricky to make your strips. So you have to be careful that your size of your strips, your pieces, stays the same. Now when you're all finished and you've made 2 whole strips, click the green check mark and turn in your work. Good luck with your fractions, and I will see you later.